Feeling forgetful or mentally foggy after 60? You're not alone, and you're not fading. Let's bring clarity back, one step at a time. It usually starts quietly, not with pain, not with panic, but with a pause. You walk into a room and freeze. What was I about to do? You stare at your phone, scrolling, not reading, not absorbing anything. You're not sad. You're not sick. But something feels off. And in that moment, between confusion and self-blame, you wonder, is my brain tired? Not just physically tired, but overloaded, overstimulated, overheld. But you don't stop. Because stopping feels like weakness. Because resting feels selfish. Because you're supposed to keep going. So you drink the coffee, push through the fog, tell yourself just one more thing, and you go to bed exhausted, not sleepy, but wired. And in the morning, the fog's still there. The sharpness is gone. Sound familiar? You're not alone. And most importantly, you're not broken. What you're feeling isn't laziness or aging or a lack of willpower. What you're feeling is your brain asking for a break. Let me tell you a story. Meet Margaret. She's 64, a retired nurse, grandmother of 4, smart, kind, the kind of woman who never forgets a birthday. But lately she's been struggling, not with her body, but with her mind. She tells her daughter, "I feel like my thoughts are walking through mud." She forgets words, misplaces keys, rereads the same recipe 3 times. Sometimes she just stares out the window, not tired, not sad, just empty. At first she panicked. Is this dementia? Am I losing it? She went to the doctor. The test came back fine. No Alzheimer's, no stroke, no clear explanation. Just one quiet suggestion from her doctor. Maybe your brain is tired. Maybe it's time to slow down. Margaret laughed. How can my brain be tired? I'm not even doing much anymore. But then she started noticing the signs. The constant stimulation, news messages, scrolling, the lack of true rest, even her downtime was filled with noise. The pressure to be okay, to stay sharp, to keep smiling. Her brain wasn't failing. It was fatigued. Margaret didn't need a diagnosis. She needed permission to rest, to stop thinking, to stop trying, to stop performing. Just for a moment, just long enough to breathe. What if we've been ignoring the signs? We pay attention when our body hurts. We rest when we have the flu. We take a break when we pull a muscle. But when the brain cries out, with silence, with fog, with forgetfulness, we push harder. We drink more caffeine. We berate ourselves. We say, what's wrong with me? But what if nothing's wrong? What if your brain is just trying to protect you, the only way it knows how? By slowing you down, by making you forget, by sending the message, I'm overloaded, please listen. Because here's the thing, your brain has a voice, but it doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. And if you learn how to listen, really listen, you can give your mind the break it needs before it breaks down. There's a moment, quiet and invisible, when the brain begins to slow, but your world doesn't. Your thoughts move slower, but your to-do list grows louder. And somewhere in the middle, your heart starts to race. It's strange, isn't it? To feel mentally drained and yet emotionally wired. Like your body wants to rest, but your nervous system didn't get the memo. You sit at your desk, but can't remember what you opened your laptop to do. You reread the same email 3 times. You double-check the calendar, though you've checked it twice already. Your brain says, pause, but your anxiety says, hurry. This is one of the earliest signs. Not forgetfulness, not confusion, but the disconnection between your watch mental energy and your emotional speed. You're moving too fast for a brain that's begging you to slow down. And it doesn't have to look dramatic. It can look like over-explaining in a conversation because you're scared you forgot something. It can look like triple-checking the stove because you can't trust your focus. It can look like snapping at someone, not because you're angry, but because your mind is overstimulated. The brain, when tired, doesn't always go quiet. Sometimes it gets loud with thoughts, doubts, noise. This isn't failure. It's a message. You don't need more discipline. You need a pause. You don't need a sharper schedule. You need margin, space around the edges of your day where your brain can breathe. Let go of the myth that productivity yields value. Your worth is not measured by how much you remember, how fast you think, or how many tabs you can juggle in your mind. Sometimes your brain is doing the bravest thing it can, slowing you down, so you don't break. Listen to that, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Even if it's just long enough to put the phone down, walk outside, and look at the sky. Let that be enough. For now, you sit in front of a small task, maybe it's replying to an email, paying a bill, folding a load of laundry, something you've done 1,000 times before. But now, it feels impossible. Not because it's hard, but because your brain can't start. This is another quiet sign when your brain needs a break. It shows up as resistance to the simplest things. You're not lazy. You're not unmotivated. You're not bad at adulting. You're simply mentally paralyzed. It feels like this. You know what to do, you want to do it, you just can't initiate. You hover your mouse over the reply button. You scroll through the contacts to make the call. You stare at the laundry basket for hours, but nothing happens. And the longer you delay, the louder the shame becomes. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just do it? Why is everything so hard? Here's why: your pen executive function. The part of your brain responsible for decision-making, task switching, and self-regulation is exhausted. Think of it like a muscle. Even strong muscles fatigue under constant strain. And if you've been on for too long, solving, thinking, remembering, juggling, that part of your brain burns out. It doesn't quit, it freezes. Just like your phone might lag when it's low on memory. So what can you do? You start smaller than small. Instead of reply to the email, say, open inbox. Instead of clean the kitchen, say, put 1 spoon away. Instead of pay the bill, say, find the envelope. Because momentum isn't about doing it all. It's about doing one thing, then letting that one thing be enough for today. And if your brain still says no, that's okay. Rest isn't earned through productivity. Rest is earned through being alive in a world that never stops asking more. If your brain needs a moment, give it one. You'll return to action when your mind is ready. And it will be, if you meet it with grace, not force. Sometimes the sign is subtle. You're not forgetting things completely. You're just not really absorbing them. You read an article, and by the end you can't recall the headline. You meet someone new, and their name is gone before you even finish the handshake. You make a grocery list and forget the list and the groceries. It feels like your short-term memory has a leak. You get frustrated, embarrassed, maybe even scared. Is this what aging looks like? Is this early dementia? Why is my brain betraying me? But what if it isn't betrayal? What if it's self-protection? Because here's what most people don't realize. Memory requires presence. And presence requires mental margin. When your brain is full, when it's spinning 10 plates in the background, it stops encoding new information. Not because it's broken, because it's prioritizing. It's choosing survival over detail. Stress mode over story mode. It says, this isn't safe to store right now, and it lets the info slip. You're not forgetting, you're buffering. Like a video that pauses to catch up, your brain is trying to stay afloat. And the answer isn't to cram more, repeat louder, or panic. The answer is to slow the stream, to reduce input, to allow silence, to give your mind space to file things properly. This is why stillness feels uncomfortable for people today, because we're not used to the brain not being stimulated. But in that stillness, memory returns. Not instantly, but gradually, like fog lifting off a lake at dawn. So when you feel forgetful, don't fear. Just pause and ask, am I present right now? Have I given my brain enough room to breathe? If not, start there. Everything else will follow. And then there's the quietest sign of all, the one we often miss, because it hides behind a smile. It's the moment when joy feels dull. When things that used to light you up, music, books, conversation, feel muted, like someone turned the color down on life. You show up, you go through the motions. You nod, you smile. You say, I'm fine, but inside, you feel nothing. Not sadness, not pain, just flat. This is not failure. It's not depression necessarily. It's brain fatigue. Your brain isn't broken, it's just burned out. Emotionally, sensory-wise, spiritually. It has no space left for joy because it's using everything it has to just keep going. Think of it like a computer running too many tabs. You can still click, still open things, but the system lags. And the more you force it, the more the joy buffer stalls. This is when it's most tempting to self-medicate. More caffeine, more sugar, more noise, more scrolling. Because silence feels empty. Because you're afraid of what stillness might reveal. But stillness isn't your enemy. It's your invitation to reconnect, to remember what actually brings you joy, to rediscover the quiet hobbies, music, nature, laughter, journaling, that feed your brain instead of draining it. You don't need a new job, a new city, or a new purpose. You just need to let your brain feel safe again. Safe to rest, safe to slow, safe to soften. Joy returns when pressure lifts. Give yourself permission to be unproductive, to wander, to doodle, to hum a song you forgot you loved. That's not wasted time. That's repair. That's what your brain has been whispering for. Listen, let the brain breathe, recovery, not rescue. So what do you do when your mind feels slow but your world stays loud? What do you do When the joy is gone, the thoughts are heavy, the memory is leaking, and the guilt is louder than the fatigue, you pause. Not forever, not dramatically. Just long enough to say, I see you, brain, you've done so much, let me care for you now. Here's where healing begins. 1. Let go of the always-on culture. You are not a machine. You are not failing because you can't focus for 8 hours. Brains are built for rhythm, not endless hustle. Try this. Start your morning without a screen for 30 minutes. End your day with a walk, not a scroll. Let silence feel sacred again. 2. Drink water before coffee. Hydration restores clarity faster than caffeine ever will. Your brain is 75% water. Start your day by fueling that system. Try this. Drink a glass of water before your first sip of coffee. Add lemon or sea salt if needed. Small, simple upgrades. 3. Feed your brain, don't stimulate it. Sugar, processed snacks, and endless input create short highs and deep crashes. Choose whole foods, slow carbs, healthy fats, and brain-loving nutrients. Try this. Eggs, avocado, berries, greens, walnuts, herbal teas like turmeric, ginger, reishi. 4. Rest doesn't mean sleep. Rest also means no decision-making. No performing. No checking. Just being. Try this. Stare out the window for 5 minutes. Journal without editing. Sit in a park and observe. Without headphones, without agenda. 5. Honor the fog. When brain fog hits, don't fight it. Flow with it. Use it as a message, not a malfunction. The brain recovers when it feels safe, not when it's shamed. And the moment you give yourself permission to not be productive is the moment clarity quietly begins to return. You are not your sharpness. You are not your focus. You are not your output. You are someone who deserves peace, even when you're not useful. That is the new clarity. That is the break your brain has been craving. And now you know how to give it, one breath at a time.
Thanks for spending time with us today. We hope this video gave your mind a little more clarity and your heart a little more hope. Remember, your age is not your limit. It's your power. Right pointing finger, subscribe for weekly videos on brain health, energy, sleep, and the daily habits that help you thrive for life.